Foreclosure scam alert. Homeowners beware. If you're facing financial pressure, behind on your mortgage, worried about foreclosure, or simply concerned about your future, there is something important you need to know. You may be a target, not because you've done anything wrong, not because you've made poor decisions, but because scammers know something most homeowners don't. They know that people under stress are often looking for answers, and when people are looking for answers, they're often willing to listen to anyone who claims to have them. Unfortunately, that's exactly what many foreclosure scammers are counting on. They look for homeowners who are worried. They look for homeowners who are behind on payments. They look for homeowners who have received notices from their lender. And then they show up with promises. Promises that sound reassuring. Promises that sound simple. Promises that sound exactly like what a worried homeowner wants to hear. The problem is that many of those promises are completely false. Every year, homeowners lose thousands of dollars to foreclosure rescue. Scams. Some lose their savings, some lose their equity, some lose valuable time, and some make their situation dramatically worse by trusting the wrong person. The unfortunate reality is that scammers often target people during some of the most stressful periods of their lives. And stress can make it harder to recognize warning signs. That's why education is so important. Because the more you understand how these scams work, the less likely you are to become a victim. Let's start with one of the most common scams. The foreclosure rescue scam. A homeowner receives a notice from the lender. Maybe they're behind on payments. Maybe they're worried about losing the property. Then someone appears claiming they can stop the foreclosure. They may call. They may send mail. They may knock on the door. They may advertise online. Their message is usually similar. We can save your home. We have a special program. We have a relationship with lenders. We can stop the foreclosure. And then they ask for money. Sometimes it's hundreds of dollars. Sometimes it's thousands. Sometimes it's much more. The homeowner pays because they're scared. They're hopeful. They're desperate for a solution. Then one of two things happens. Either nothing happens, or the scammer continues asking for more money. Meanwhile, the foreclosure timeline continues moving forward. The homeowner believes someone is helping, but the situation is actually becoming worse. Now let's talk about another common scam. The fake loan modification expert. This one often sounds professional. The company claims they specialize in loan modifications. They promise they can negotiate directly with the lender. They promise they can reduce payments. They promise they can stop foreclosure. And they often guarantee results. That guarantee should immediately raise concerns. No legitimate company can guarantee a lender will approve a modification. No legitimate company controls the lender's decision. But scammers understand that guarantees sound comforting, so they make promises they cannot possibly keep. Then they collect fees, sometimes large fees, and often the homeowner discovers later that little or no work was actually performed. Let's discuss another warning sign. Anyone who tells you to stop communicating with your lender. This is a major red flag. Scammers often want to become the middleman. They'll tell homeowners not to answer calls, not to open mail, not to speak with the bank. They may claim they're handling everything. The problem is that legitimate communication with the lender is often critical. When someone tries to isolate a homeowner from information, that should create immediate concern. Now let's talk about equity stripping. This scam can be especially damaging. A homeowner has substantial equity in the property. The scammer identifies that opportunity. Then they offer what appears to be a solution. Maybe it's a rescue loan. Maybe it's an investment opportunity. Maybe it's a temporary transfer of ownership. The details vary, but the goal is often the same. Gain control of the property, gain access to the equity, and profit from the homeowner's distress. Many homeowners don't fully understand the documents they're signing. They trust the person presenting the solution. Later, they discover ownership has changed, rights have changed, or equity has disappeared. That's why homeowners should never sign documents they don't fully understand. Not during a foreclosure situation, not during any real estate transaction, and certainly not when someone is pressuring them to act quickly. Pressure itself is often a warning sign. Scammers want urgency. They don't want homeowners asking questions. They don't want homeowners seeking advice. They don't want homeowners comparing options. They want decisions made quickly. Why? Because informed people are harder to manipulate. That's why homeowners should be cautious whenever someone says things like, "You must act today." This opportunity expires immediately. You don't have time to think about it. Don't talk to anyone else. Legitimate professionals understand that major financial decisions require consideration. Scammers want speed. Now let's talk about fake investors. Not every investor is a scammer. There are legitimate investors in every market, but there are also individuals who specifically target distressed homeowners. They may promise a fast solution. They may promise to buy the property. They may promise to solve the homeowner's problems. Then they use confusion, pressure, or misleading information to obtain a significant advantage. The homeowner thinks they're receiving help, but the numbers often tell a different story. This is another reason understanding your property's value matters. When homeowners don't know what their property is worth, they become more vulnerable. Knowledge creates protection. Information creates leverage. Understanding your position helps prevent others from taking advantage of it. Let's discuss another common tactic: the government program scam. Scammers know homeowners trust government programs, so they'll use names that sound official. They'll create websites that appear legitimate. They'll reference programs that don't actually exist, or they'll exaggerate benefits that are unavailable. Some even create documents that look official. The goal is simple: create credibility, gain trust, collect money, or collect personal information. Homeowners should always verify programs independently. Never assume something is legitimate simply because it sounds official. Now, let's talk about identity theft. Many foreclosure scams are not actually about saving homes. They're about collecting information, social security numbers, bank account information, tax returns, mortgage statements, financial records. Scammers understand that homeowners facing foreclosure often have large amounts of financial documentation readily available. That's why homeowners should be extremely cautious about who receives their personal information. Once information is stolen, the damage can continue long after the original scam. Now, let's discuss why these scams work. Because understanding the psychology is important. Scammers don't sell solutions. They sell hope. They sell certainty. They sell relief. They tell homeowners exactly what they want to hear. Everything will be okay. We can fix this. We've done this before. We guarantee results. And when someone is overwhelmed, those promises can feel incredibly attractive. The problem is that real solutions rarely sound that simple. Legitimate professionals typically discuss facts, timelines, risks, options, possible outcomes. Scammers often discuss guarantees, miracles, secrets, and promises. That's an important difference. Now let's talk about protecting yourself. First, slow down. Major decisions deserve careful review. Second, ask questions, lots of questions. Third, verify information independently. Fourth, understand your property's value. Fifth, understand your mortgage situation. And sixth, be extremely cautious whenever someone asks for large upfront fees or guarantees results. Remember this: pressure is often a warning sign. Secrecy is often a warning sign. Guarantees are often a warning sign. And requests for money before meaningful work is performed should always receive additional scrutiny. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is, especially in the foreclosure world. The reality is that there are legitimate professionals who help homeowners every day. There are legitimate solutions. There are legitimate conversations worth having. But homeowners should take the time to verify who they're working with and what they're being told, because once money is lost, equity is transferred, or documents are signed, reversing the damage can be difficult. Before we finish, let's talk about the Nevada Strategic Property Group, a collaborative team serving Northern Nevada, including Skip Benton, Tony Taylor, and Savannah Lee with Coldwell Banker Select Real Estate, along with Angie Salcido with Premier Credit Solutions. Our goal is simple: help homeowners understand their options before situations become urgent. Help homeowners separate facts from misinformation. Help homeowners make informed decisions based on real information rather than fear, pressure, or false promises. Because informed homeowners are much harder to scam. And the more information you have, the more likely you are to protect both your home and your future. Foreclosure scam alert. Homeowners beware. Ask questions, verify information, and never let fear make decisions for you.